2023 is called in session, and we'll start with the pledge with Kevin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Marshall, prayer.
Our Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening. We want to thank you for this wonderful world we live in. We thank you for this nation. We thank the state, especially our county and our town. We ask you to continue to lead us and guide us through these decisions we make. It'll be for the better good, and we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Roll call.
William Ellis.
Here.
Trevor Sager. Scott Oldham.
Here.
Pamela Samples. Here. Dan Swafford.
All right, approval of minutes for the regular meeting, April 24th, 2023.
So moved.
Second. William Ellis.
Yes.
Scott Oldham.
Yes.
Pamela Samples. Yes. Motion carries.
Action to pay accounts payable vouchers and payroll.
So moved.
Second. William Ellis.
Yes.
Scott Oldham.
Yes.
Pamela Samples. Yes. Motion carries.
Seeing no resolutions or ordinances on the first reading, we're to ordinances on the second reading. First is ordinance 2023-04, water rate increase. I'm seeing there's only 3 council members present. Is the council inclined to wait till the next meeting on this? I'll put it to council discussion.
Well, to be honest with you, I think that both of these are, both this ordinance and the next ordinance, are probably ones that, if at all possible, unless it does detriment to the town as a whole, as the town manager sees it, probably would be best to wait for the entire council. However, we may be on some timeline deadlines.
Right.
It's up to you guys. I mean, do they do damage waiting on either one for 2 more weeks, or?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I feel strongly about those.
Because on both of these, you'd have to have a 3-0 vote, or it would fail.
I understand. Well, then, if you're recommending that we wait, then that's what we should do.
I'm asking particularly
Right.
because the
Will it
entire
cause a
council is not
detriment?
present.
Denise, did you have thought on at least the second one?
So it would wait until the second meeting in this month, then
2 weeks, yeah.
that'd be the 22nd. I think, yeah.
Yes.
I can wait.
Okay.
Does it do us a problem on the timeline on the water?
Right, well, yeah, just so we can move forward as soon as possible. Which would be.
2 weeks work?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Okay. Are you good with that, Denise?
Yes.
All right, so is there council action on?
Offer a motion to table on ordinance 2023-04.
Second. William Ellis.
Yes.
Scott Oldham.
Yes.
Pam Samples. Yes. Motion carries.
Got ordinance 2023-05, approving a moratorium on the construction and development of certain structures in commercial and industrial districts.
Offer a motion to table on this ordinance.
Second. William Ellis.
Yes.
Scott Oldham.
Yes.
Pamela Samples. Yes. Motion carries.
Flood report?
Darla gave me all the prepared easements for the flood project, and I started today to get those signed. And so I've got the main one we needed today, so we'll try to clean that up and get everything completed by the end of the week.
All right.
After that, we'll organize and prepare for a bid.
Fantastic. Any council discussion on that or anything? All right. Envision Ellettsville update. Will that be you, Dan? I assume it will be.
We're going to have a community town forum update Tuesday, May 16th at 6 p.m. here at the town hall. And I would like to invite everyone who's interested to come to that meeting.
Thank you. I want to say thank you for having an evening meeting. That way, hopefully we can have record
Well, we
turnout.
talked about that and thought
Yep.
it was important because a lot of people can't come to the meetings during the
Yep.
day, people at work. So it'll be at 6 o'clock here and probably last a couple hours.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. All right, new business, Ziptility Lead and Cooper presentation. Oh,
So lead and copper rule. It says lead and Cooper, but.
I was wondering if it was copper, but I didn't know if that was the name of a company.
So, we've been with Ziptility since 2018. They're our vendor for digital mapping. The process is going really well, and we are compiling information that we'll always have from here on out, and it's loaded with information, everything from pictures to descriptions of repairs to installation of new services, anything and everything possible that you can put into this system. We've been diligently working on improving information we have. We also use it for street inventory, and I think they're going to talk about some of the other things we can utilize in the future. We're talking about our infrastructure inventory, things like tracking when we clean storm sewer grates, blah, blah, blah. So tonight, the kind of the lead-in for Ziptility to present, I just thought it would be interesting to understand some of the things that go on in the background. But we have a IDAM, actually an EPA mandated lead and copper rule that presents itself with quite a bit of work. And we are going to have them, it's a new project, and we're going to outsource them to lead and complete our process. So with that said, I'll let you guys explain what's going on and go in detail.
That sounds good. I can speak from here to also be on the computer. I've got some slides to share. I push this, I come through? Okay, great, thanks. I prefer to stand, but I want to make sure I can get through this here. So I also want to share this presentation for anybody who might be watching at home. If I do slideshow here, is this already sharing to everyone who might be watching or get the recording?
You have to bring it in through Zoom.
Okay, let me do that then real quick.
Down at the bottom, there's a share option.
How about I share this screen? And I think if I share the entire thing is sharing, so I think it'll be all right. Okay, great. Thanks for bearing with me on that. So Mike already paraphrased pretty much everything I wanted to say here. Good opportunity for you folks to get a little bit more familiar with the system the team has been doing a really great job of using. It's been about 5 years now, and it's the kind of thing that takes a lot of time to make progress on, and they've been doing great. So Ziptility is, like Mike said, it's an operating platform for public works, and you can do pretty much anything you need to with it to map where infrastructure is that you're responsible for maintaining and assigning and recording work against that infrastructure over time. And I think darn near every department in the town has access to and some manner of benefit from the Ziptility environment so far. It's just a testament to how well you've been utilizing the system. Some of those examples, like Mike mentioned, is cleaning schedule for sanitary sewers. You can see here is a map of all the sanitary sewers in town, and they're color-coded by when they should be cleaned this year, the next, and the following. You've got another example here with water line repairs. So this comes in particularly critical when you need to decide where your breaks are happening most frequently, where to make the investments in improving infrastructure to mitigate the risks of service disruption and those expensive repair jobs. You can see these little orange dots in some of these places are kind of some hot spots that the team might focus, that the town might focus on improving, rather than continuing to kind of duct tape and patch breaks as they happen. The record keeping that takes place includes the ability to upload photos of that same work. It's rare that you end up with eyes on an asset that spends its whole life buried underground. And when you have that unfortunate incident that you got to dig it up, it's good to take a photograph of that so that whoever's responsible for it in the future to maintain that infrastructure knows what's sitting underground and where it is. So the team's been doing a great job of recording all of that stuff, and Mike also mentioned you've even got your city signs inventory in here. Every type of sign all across town is in here. So a couple things you might think of doing next. I understand there's maybe some initiatives to put trails all throughout town and new places, walking, biking trails. This is a good place to say where you might rough those in related to other infrastructure and how they might intersect or impact one another. So that's just one thing that I've understood is going on. Obviously, lots of new development here as a fantastic place to build and a kind of an alternative to Bloomington. I understand there's a lot of growth going on. So working on a process to make sure that the developers who create these new neighborhoods can provide as-built to the town, and those can be merged into the existing infrastructure map, so that as you become responsible for maintaining that infrastructure when it's developed and installed, you know where it is, and you can continue to maintain the same records on it as you do everything else. And then finally, and perhaps most poignantly, like Mike mentioned, the lead and copper rule revision from the EPA. There's a deadline in October of next year that requires a whole bunch of work leading up. Thankfully, the Indiana Finance Authority, which is the state's governing body responsible for distributing federal funds to help with projects like this, has recently announced that funding is available, and we'll be glad to help participate with the town to secure as much money as possible to help cover the expense of maintaining compliance with this new rule. Be glad to answer any questions about the system or that particular compliance deadline as well.
I will point out that the zip utility information allows us to reduce our liabilities when there's a sewer claim stop up. I know in the past we had information that we could utilize. This will enhance it. Keeps us from being responsible for certain kind of claims. Mm-hmm. So it's really been helpful.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, we have a system, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, it's not a GIS system, but it's a working man's type GIS system, and we have it for, I mean, a fraction, it's pennies to $1, what it would have cost us to try to enter into a system with GIS. Plus, the upkeep of it, you have to have manpower and equipment, and with it outsourced, the cost to the town has been, it's just, like I said, pennies to the $1, so.
Yeah, the system's accessed on mobile devices for any staff member who needs it, and that mapping kind of interface is where all the information required to satisfy the upcoming deadline will be captured in a format that can be submitted to the state for access to grant money.
What was the deadline again?
There are 3 phases of project that take place, and the full and complete inventory must be finished by October 16th of 2024, according to the EPA. In the run-up to that, there's a process whereby we'll collect all the existing records, including tap cards, as-builts from developers, maintenance history, anything that might have a record of what type of material the line is in the ground, either from main to meter or from meter to home. And then that'll reduce the amount of work that's required to go into the field, which is much more expensive, to either dig holes and confirm visually or do other types of excavation to get eyes on the service line material that's there. But that deadline I gave you is when the material type for every service line that the utility is responsible for must be identified and submitted to the EPA.
It's going to be an extensive process, and it's going to take up quite a bit of some of our personnel's time. Another reason we need a water rate increase. Some of the funds that he's talking about will help us specifically with the potholing and maybe even equipment if we need it.
That's right.
Question for you, and I agree with you about how much GIS costs us, but let's say, 5-10 years from now, the town is large enough where we do want to invest in a GIS system. Can this port over into it? Can you still run this aspect of the utilities?
Absolutely, yes. So the system supports importing and exporting of data, similar to the way that we can take as-built drawings from the developers who build new neighborhoods in town. We can export similarly formatted information to any other system that might need to consume it, and even while you use Ziptility, you may have need to do so. Maybe a some other partnership with another organization that uses a different system, it supports that.
And Mike, do we currently upload that information to the county GIS system?
I'm sorry?
Do we currently give the information to the county GIS system?
I don't think we've started that process yet, but Denise, you want to?
As in what?
As in what the information that they have, because the GIS has quite a few layers.
Right, we do provide with new addressing, we provide mapping with that, so all the government organizations can map it in 911 also. As for what he's talking about, we do not submit those things to GIS.
Okay.
There'll be a time when I know that CBU does try to keep track of all the surrounding water companies and even the wastewater systems. So there'll be a time when we may want to share information for them. It's not bad for them to have it. But I'd propose that we may be looking at something in the future where we realize that Ziptility is on par with GIS. So it's nice to have options.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the council? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, I appreciate your time.
All right, is there any public comment, privilege of the floor? Seeing none, supervisor comments? Start with you.
I'm going to add to the Envision Ellettsville update. We will be, the Envision Ellettsville process plan will be given an award at the Indiana chapter of the American Planning Association event on May 12th in Terre Haute. And it's under the category of urban design. The awards committee, through the vision plan, made for a great comprehensive plan. So they moved our nomination to the comp plan category. And it seems timely, given that we are transitioning our envision process into our comp plan. So it's a pretty nice award to get. So.
Fantastic. Good job, Envision Ellettsville. Jimmy?
Yes, sir, thank you. Tonight, I'd like to present to you, and I apologize for not getting on the agenda. George and I, or Chief Deputy Robinson and I, have made a decision to elevate Levi Parrish from a reserve role to a full-time role July the 1st. It's our new officer coming up that you granted us last budget year. So we appreciate your support on that. He is ILEA certified. He has some background in law enforcement. He's been working for Kevin for the last, off and on for the last 3 or 4 years. But we'd like to move him into the full-time status starting July the 1st. He has already started some of his field training. So I'd appreciate your support. Thank you.
Okay.
And that's pending his perf.
I'm sorry, you told me that. That's pending his perf approval, which is a physical and some paperwork to get him signed up. So we started on that today, so.
And he is ILEA certified already? The full Tier 1 Academy?
Yes, he shows certified on the academy, yes.
Okay. So this is, you're extending an offer of employment pending approval by,
Correct.
Right. Do we have any council action?
move we approve the offer of employment to Levi Parrish as detailed by the marshal with the intent to hire, should he pass the required Indiana state requirements. Not eloquent, but work.
Second.
All right.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
Pam Samples,
Yes.
motion carries.
And I'd like to thank Chief Patton for ringing my bell this morning and reminding me about this. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Jimmy, this is the new, one of the new positions we budgeted last year. Yep. Good. All right.
We'll start on the other 3 in October.
We get the cards.
Yeah. All right. Next? Nothing? All right, Kevin? All right.
I just want to let you know the town of Ellettsville started a Facebook account on March 13th. And I looked at the statistics today, and since that time, we've had a page reach of 28,471 people and 1,770 page visits. It's informational, for informational purposes only, so it's been a good source to get information to the public about what's going on in Ellettsville.
Thank
And
you.
I also wanted to let you know that Food Truck Wednesday starts this Wednesday from 4:30 to 8:30 on North Sale Street, and we have 8 food trucks scheduled to be there.
Awesome. Thank you. Sandy?
I don't have anything.
All right, council comments or anything council wants to bring up?
Nope.
All right. At this time, I see no other business to come before the council. Call our meeting adjourned.